All right, we here. We Need Answers Radio podcast, all of that. First guest we got here today is Ronald Barksdale, brother of the infamous Bodie Barksdale, a tremendous, infamous guy to the city of Baltimore, very impactful. We just want to discuss the life of Bodie, the life of Ronald, upbringing of the brothers, life and times during those years in 60s, 70s, and up, and trials and tribulations, the good and the bad, and just discuss all the lessons learned so we can give game to the youth and everybody else that's living and still thriving out here and serve as entertainment as well. Very entertaining and just some good stories and a good time. So we want to get it started. And Ronald, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you from the jump. And we go in from there.
Okay. Hey, Cab, it's a pleasure, man, being here in your presence. I'd like to thank God for navigating me this way to my not biological nephew, but my nephew.
Right.
Okay, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Ronald Barksdale. I'm the fifth son of Emma and Milton Barksdale. I grew up in West Baltimore in a housing project called Lexington Terrace / Murphy Homes. Well, it really would be considered Lexington Pole, but I always adopted Murphy Home as my home base as well, because they are the areas that I frequent as a young man growing up in West Baltimore. Also, like I said, I grew up. I'm the fifth child from that union of Emma and Roger. I mean Emma and Milton. Roger's my mother's present husband. Shout out to Rod. Also, I want to tell you that I come from a loving family, a structured household, and a household that basically directed us in a way of education, stress education in the house. I was a good student. I wasn't a juvenile delinquent that got in a lot of trouble. But from the looks of it, from the juvenile court system, I was never heard of as a juvenile. However, I did all the criminal elements that a seasoned criminal would do as a juvenile. And like I said, it was eater to be eaten coming up in Lexington Terrace. However, it was a loving community. We didn't know that we were poor, let's say indigent. And because there was nothing that I really wanted as a child that I didn't get, not being a spoiled child or anything like that, but just the things that I got was things that was needed. Because back then, it was, you wasn't, let's say you wasn't looked at as a person that didn't have, because I come from all the young thieves, old thieves, everybody that was doing something that made any kind of tax-free money in that housing project, they were there. Mm-hmm. From furniture to clothes to jewelry to you name it, wallpaper. Everything.
And what year was this?
This was in the this was in the late 60s, early 70s. Well, let me start from the beginning. I was born in 1962, right? So you do the math. It's 2019 now. Okay. In 1969, I was exposed to the rise of Baltimore City when the good nobleman Martin Luther King was assassinated.
Right.
In front of the, what's the name of that hotel? That's neither here nor there. I used to remember all those things. But anyway, he got assassinated on the balcony of a hotel. And all I knew that Martin Luther King, from my mother used to tell us as kids, that he was fighting for our equal rights to vote. We was trying to get out this thing of being third-class citizens, which is still taking place today. But however, when he was assassinated, a riot took place. And this would expose me to knowing that I wanted to pursue a criminal lifestyle. Didn't know at the time, but fate is something that we all must just confront. Destiny and fate. So what had happened was my brother, which is 18 months older than I,
What's his name?
Nathan.
Okay.
Well, you all know him as Avon Barksdale. My mother gave him that nickname because, she gave him all his names, like I said, because it was 5 boys, and sometimes she would call me, call him, Gary, because she was a single parent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So she had to call him, give us names that would catch our attention, something that we didn't like would make us respond to her. Like, you know that ain't my name. Well, she gave him the name Bodie. It was a cowboy picture used to come on, and the guy Bodie used to carry a bowie knife, and so that's how he got that name Bodie. And then later on in years, a name that he hated was this Avon stuff, you know what I mean? Because she used to sell Avon products. So that's how he got his name. He hated that name, man.
So how she choose to give him Avon out of all y'all?
I'm gonna tell you what happened, right? When we was kids, Bodie had gotten a accident on a school playground. 'Cause we was mischievous little boys. We used to hop to they had all these inner city programs. They had these little trucks that come around, X-ray trucks and different tuberculosis trucks. They would come get the inner city kids these free tests that the city of Baltimore was funding. So they would park these big trucks on our schoolyard. And what we would do, sometimes we would want to go home, and these white boys would have these real big igloo. We was introduced to these igloo coolers, and they would have these big lunches with strawberries and fruits and all this kind of stuff, and all this stuff their wives were making for lunch for them. And what we would do, we would have somebody distracted drive, and we would steal their lunches, and anything else was salvageable. Because they was giving out these free lunches. This Operation Champ would give you a bologna and cheese sandwich. We didn't want to eat that stuff.
Right.
We wanted this stuff, this man on
The
this.
good stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff. That's neither here nor there. But he got that name because my mother would say, if you see Bodie out there, and my friends was like, Bodie, Miss something, you got to change that name. Well, tell her Avon come here. And the Avon lady would be in the house talking to my mother because she was always trying to find a loop to get some extra money. So that's how he got that name.
Okay.
She sold Avon perfume. And at that time, we gonna go. We gonna
The
go
Martin
back.
Luther
Yeah, we gonna go back to
thing.
that.
Yeah.
So, like I said, he had broken. But when the riots was going on, people were stealing televisions. Believe it or not, living room sets. We had a bike factory in my neighborhood called Chauffeurs that would have all the latest bikes. I guess now they would have been Cannondales and Hoofies and all that kind of stuff. It was a bicycle factory in my neighborhood that sold these maroon bikes. And I'm like, Bodie, why you ain't go get some TVs or bikes just on the rise? But he had these 3 little metal boxes, right? And he said, man, go get me a hammer and a butter knife. And I said, for what? Man, just do it like I tell you, I would do that. And so I'm waiting around. I know it's something good in these boxes, but I can't see. We ain't be able to watch TV on them.
Yeah.
No, they ain't made TVs that small. This is 69. So when we go in the boxes, he got a cachet of money in the boxes, 50s, 100s. And I just got overwhelmed by all this money. And I wasn't no more than about 7. And the only thing he wanted to know was, don't tell Emma what I did. Right. Shit, excuse me. I'm not going to tell her. I just want to know, is they going to have a ride every weekend? Because I want to be on the next one.
Yeah,
get some more and I'm money. 7.
How much you think it was?
Probably at this time, I mean, no exaggeration, had to be about, 7. I know it's about a good 15,000. This is 70. We had a Jew named Mr. Jack. He didn't believe in banks at this time. So he would take, in each box, he would fill up with like 50s, 100s, and 20s, and then there'd be another box with 10s, 20s, and 5s, and then there'd be boxes with just all $1 bills. So he had 3 of them. He got each, denominated, because what happened, Bodie used to bag he was, like I said, I was 7, so he had to be 9.5. He would do this, do the bag boy thing at
The market.
At the market.
Okay.
So he
Bag
knew
of
where,
groceries.
he knew where Mr. Jack kept the money.
Okay.
And I knew my brother could keep a secret because at an early age, he used to always tell me, man, excuse me for my language, I'm going to get his ass. He would tell me that, but I didn't know what he
What he
was
meant.
actually talking about.
Yeah, okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because they was trying to protect me from this life. So like I say, we never had, even him, we never had juvenile arrest as a young boy. So make a long story short.
So y'all had a clean record until
Clean
y'all was
record.
adults.
The whole, we never got in trouble till after we turned 18.
Okay.
And believe it or not, we both were did well in school.
Mm-hmm. Talk about that.
Okay, let me elaborate on that. Okay, everybody in life got a teacher that believes in them.
Mm-hmm.
As a young boy, I went to Lexington Terrace Elementary School, which was School 19 on Lexington Street, the 700 block of Lexington Street in West Baltimore. And I had this teacher, he's an infamous prosecutor. Well, he might have retired now. His name was Thomas McElroy. Shout out to you, Mr. McElroy. And what he did, it was certain kids in the neighborhood. He knew my mother. Like I said, my mother, her whole life, us coming up, she either worked in the school system because she was a professional student. She, like she had 5 boys, and she just knew it was a better way for us, and she wanted to mold us into, education. So she did this school aid thing in the school. So, I'm always around books, and my older brothers, all of them had high GPAs. And what happened was my mother got me in this class with this white guy that worked at the courthouse, but he was a / teacher. His name was Thomas McElroy. And what happened was he kept my 4th grade class from the 4th to the 6th. And he came from Boston, Massachusetts. And his whole thing was, it was certain kids in the neighborhood. We took these SAT scores, and I must have scored high. And he had this talk. He was like this in the 70s, and it was like you can bring a white boy in that community unless he came with a family in that community that could hold him down.
Yeah.
So he would come, and he's like, is it all right to come talk to you, Emma, about Ronald and Nathan? Bodie made it clear, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because he had an image up who as a little boy, I ain't no white, they going to think you the police.
Yeah.
When I was younger, anyway, he would come, and he told my mother that I was exceptionally well. I had a good, I received information well, had a good memory. Anyway, I did well with tests and all that.
Right.
So he kept his class from the 4th to the 6th. And once I got out of elementary school, he tried to get me to go to, my mother tried to talk me and my brother to go to these boarding schools. I was just speaking to you about that in the car, and I just couldn't see not going to school with girls.
Right.
So that was the first mistake. I should have listened to my mother.
Right.
That was the first mistake I made, because she was trying to give us a sense of identity.
Yeah.
She
knew what was up.
She knew what was best, but
you knew what you knew, and that wasn't what was up.
exactly. That's when I wanted to go with the girls, because, like I said, I didn't know we were poor, but I just knew we had all the the latest styles and all that. And she was just mostly trying to get us to see it's not about what's on your back; it's what's in your head.
Yeah.
So that's stuck
trying
with
to
me.
get y'all to think steps ahead and not right now.
Exactly.
Because I know it was the girls, but it still was all my niggas in these schools. So I want to go because it was the same. It was the same for me. Like coming up, my father always said he wanted me to go to school with the Jew kids and all that. But it's like you could put somebody in school with whoever you want to put them in there, but if I don't click with him, I don't click with him, and it ain't even defeating the purpose. So
exactly.
It ain't. But I realized that as an adult, the older I got, okay, I got what he was saying. But when you just take me from, I'm with my cousins all day outside playing, and just say go to school with them and be friends with them,
took you out
it
your
don't
element.
work. Yeah, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. But
so it's the same thing that happened with me, But to make a long story short. And then another thing what happened was I lived right in the heart of Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And I said I grew up in a low income housing projects where at that time I just couldn't see that I was poor or I was indigent.
Yeah.
So me living 2 blocks from Center City, the infamous Lexington Market, all the all the big retail stores, the Heck and May Company, what's that, Bragger Gutman's, Hosher Combs. These were the big department stores in the city at the time.
Yeah.
That's where all the blacks and whites shopped at. And, you know, it was a booming commerce in West Baltimore at that time. So what happened was my mother used to do this thing when we was kids. It was called fencing. And no, it wasn't a fencing with the sword.
Right.
But she would deal with all the crooks, thieves, and she would buy from jewelry to clothes to furniture, but it had to be in a bulk.
Okay.
Right? And we had, like I said, even though I lived in the projects, my mother had rental spaces, this as a kid, so she was innovative to the criminal world, and I didn't even know that.
Right.
Like, where's she gonna put them 3 living room sets? We already got one.
Yeah.
And she would say, well, y'all robbed this when they first had the storage bins. So she took me up to the storage bin. I didn't even know it was a storage bin because I'm a kid. Even though I was streetwise, I didn't know that my mother was a hustler.
Yeah.
I just thought this was her job.
She do it.
Yeah, you know, we go to the storage bin. She got 3, 4 nice living room sets and all these leather coats and this, that, and that. This joint looked like a department store.
Yeah.
But what it was her inventory.
Okay.
Right? And then and that started planting seeds of criminality in my mind.
Okay.
I'm like, my mother is not that sweet a person that I thought.
Yeah.
You know, I always looked at her like this just my mother.
Right.
But
she
once
doing
I
her.
got in the street, like she was doing it at the highest level.
Okay.
But her premise was education.
Okay.
Education. As a matter of fact, I need to say this. My mother got 3 masters.
That's serious.
You see what I'm saying? And
That's serious.
that was one of my only regrets when I grew up, that I didn't take my education to the point where I could be proud of myself and say that I did do this. Anyway, back to my juvenile. Like, we never had records and none of that because I had an old head. His name was Clinton Bruce. And he used to always tell us, like...
they call him Shorty Bruce,
Shorty
right?
Bruce, right. They call him Mr.
He was
Baltimore.
on the episode on the Wire,
on the Wire,
too.
right. Yeah,
Look
that's
that
my
up.
man.
Yeah.
He was one of my mentors as coming up. And he would always tell us, like, man, look, ain't nothing wrong with being a criminal, but slick dudes don't go to jail.
Right.
So I ran with that all the way up until I became a young man. But in the process of me being a teenager, what took place is this. I started making bad decisions. The first one I made, right, they say you don't get high off your own supply.
Okay.
Man, when I was coming up in the 70s as a teenager, well, the kids smoked grass today. And it wasn't a bad thing to smoke grass.
Right.
Everybody and their grandmother smoked it.
Yeah.
They smoke it to the point now they can ready to legalize it.
Yeah.
But when I was coming up,
It was a different choice.
it was
of
a
drug.
different drug.
Yeah.
The drug of choice was a hard drug. It's still a hard drug. It was so hard that they made a synthetic drug.
Right.
This fentanyl, which is killing people, and that let me know that this is my time to get out.
Yeah.
You know,
Game to change.
Yeah, the whole game.
Game to-
Like ES Sports, game changer. You know. So what happened was me coming up, I was introduced to a large sum of money as a young boy, and my brother had a fetish about saving. So
That's Bodie.
That's Bodie.
Okay.
So and we sold papers and all that, and as a young boy, he would do things like I had a paper route. Now don't get this now. The paper routes was lucrative when I was coming up because you got to say you got in each project building you got like 115 families.
Yeah.
You got 5 buildings. So if we got each one of those buildings with 100-something families, we talking like 500 families just in the high rise.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, you know, we targeted those buildings and these paper routes, and there was other kids doing that. My brother was so aggressive. He like, we not only gonna take these paper routes, but the surrounding paper routes, we gonna merge them, and we gonna
Build a team.
regulate. Yeah, and so that's what he did, and that's when his organizational skills took place, and I was his most trusted.
Partner.
Right. So what happened was it went from that point to
And before they cut you off, those organizational skills turned into something else later down the line.
yeah, but they was most needed.
Yeah.
I didn't know then that
It was crucial.
it was crucial.
Crucial. Right.
And it was crucial in surviving in those times of living in the project.
Yeah.
Because it was like, to every one of us, they had 2-3 other crews that was doing what we was doing, and some of them was doing it in a little more advanced manner.
Yeah.
What happened was that paper route thing led to something more sinister. When I say sinister, the drug game,
Okay.
right? And this took place at an early age, and we talking in the 70s,
Right.
right?
So what the 70s look like right now?
Oh man! At this point in the 70s, we talking like 74. I'm 12 at this time,
Okay.
right? I was introduced to a guy that was younger than me. Don't be mad with me. His name was Kevin Davis Senior, right? Well,
Right.
I mean, I hate to call names, but you know, my host told me be honest as possible. Anyway, I met this young boy, a little younger than me, but his dad was like he was like a up and coming guy that was in the game, that was doing it in a big way. And you know, we was used to seeing guys that didn't have the same, well, they say swag now, but we would say the same. They didn't have this dude's style, you know.
Yeah.
And but he mostly targeted young guys that had skills with, you know, he had a couple little groceries, little confectionaries in the neighborhood. And my brother was about 13, so he started working in my little buddy father's store. And at this time, I didn't know that they had a working relationship just as a store owner and it's my little buddy. And but what my brother was doing, he was taking notes with his, you know, so far as style, his dressing. He changed the whole thing with us. Because when he would come from work, he would like ask us, how you like this, how you like it. Now, only if those oldest guys knew at 12 and 13, we had like 20, 30,000 put up.
Yeah.
They just thought we was fucking with paper sale money. But like I told you, my brother had a thing about saving.
Right.
He never really messed his bread up.
Okay.
And like we had a good lick in 69, and he kept selling little grass and this, that, and the other to all the other paper boys. And then it got to a point he would do this and do that.
So he built the team of the paper stuff, and then he jumped into the drug game.
Right off the rip.
And he was just selling to everybody.
All the little guys that
Saving the money.
At one time we was coming up, you couldn't buy stuff from the adults.
Okay.
So you had to get a guy that was your age, that was, we used to say mannish.
Okay.
Or
Mature, basically.
mature, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, mature. But we say, yeah, shorty real mannish. He can get, and that Bodie was that guy.
Okay. And he
Right.
could go get it.
And seeing them, I had a little friend that was had access to it. I know his father probably would kick him in his butt right now, knowing the shorty was robbing him like that. But I wouldn't say robbing him, but he just introduced me to, because see what my brother was doing, he was working in the store, but he didn't have an idea that me and my little brother, me and my little buddy, we wasn't working in the store, but we was just benefiting from the things that came
Went
through
on
the
in
store.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So, like I say, but his thing wasn't about really getting to the money. His thing was like he just really ain't want to do what his mother said at home, because they was living out in South Baltimore on Cherry Hill, and all the happiness was in my project.
town, yeah.
Right? So he like, you know.
And all the South Baltimore dudes, they wanted to come uptown.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he was like one of the first dudes that's coming in town, and that was like, man, he going way up there to hang with them dudes. And what happened was this. he got some lessons that took him all the way through life, right? We made some bad decisions as kids. Making long my adolescence, right? My little buddy, him. I had another little buddy that he had an interest in boxing, and he went pro. And I had another little buddy that, oh man, I had an assortment of friends that had different ideas and things they wanted to do. But all I wanted to do was get some money.
Right.
That's all I wanted to do and then I think I started developing this. And if anybody doubt what I say, all you gotta do is check the records in West Baltimore, and people will tell you way better than what I'm telling you. Yeah, the young dude was about that life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know I became, ghetto fabulous as a teenager.
Right.
I really did.
You was just living your regular
it was something
life.
normal to me.
Yeah.
It was normal to have 2 cars at 16.
Right.
And we talking about 77. Some people wasn't even born.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I looked at having 2 cars back then as just, I supposed to have 2 cars.
Yeah,
that was something regular.
Right.
And then I'm saying, like, we had what you call wolves in the neighborhood, too. We had a lot of aggressive guys, but I didn't know that those same wolves that looked at my crew like wolf tainers.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So it was like hands off because of the unity we built as kids with each other. And then none of my friends or none of my immediate crew, all of them was bright guys. So our thing was go to school, whatever we do, we're going to do it after school.
Yeah.
So that was the concept we had.
That's respectable.
You understand what I'm saying? Because that's where all the girls was at.
Right.
That's where you could show off all your gear.
Clothes,
your little whip. And then you had other guys from other neighborhoods. They was, we was kids buying brand new cars off the showroom floor. I mean, back then, this was something that was unheard of.
Yeah.
But I didn't look at it like it was no big thing.
Right.
This was just something to do. So, like I say, getting back to that, we started making bad decisions because we got bored. We 16. No, I'm going to. We 15 and 16 buying automobiles. You can get your license when you 15 and a half. And I think me and a couple of my friends, that was our goal. We got to get our license so we could drive and be legit.
Yeah.
So when this happened, we start going. They start building. I want you to stay with me. They start. Atlantic City was a tourist site, but they just got this money to rebuild Atlantic City. So when they rebuilt Atlantic City, I don't know what the kids on the West Coast do so far as going to Vegas, but we was up Atlantic City every weekend.
Okay.
This in the 70s. And once dudes got a whiff of, them kids be going up there, winning large, substantial amounts of money. We ain't know nothing about money laundering and shit. All we knew that we was 15 and 16 winning 50, 60,000 in Atlantic City. That almost slipped my mind too, man. That segment of my life. Yeah, we going to Atlantic City on a regular, you know what I mean? Casino crap and street crap is two different type of craps. But the big gangs we would get involved in wouldn't be on the boardwalk, but it'd be in the hood. In the crap houses in the hood.
Out Atlantic City, though.
Out Atlantic City. Okay. And we started rubbing elbows with other little hustlers out of town.
In Jersey and all that.
Jersey, New York, Philly. And then, me and Bodie, we always did 95 because my father, he moved to Philly in 62.
Okay.
So I had a lot of cousins that was doing the same stuff me and Bodie was doing in Baltimore. And they had access to that situation.
And they was going up Atlantic City, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, the guys in my town, man, Bodie was like the
ones.
The go-to guys if you want to see somebody
out of town.
In Apple or Philly.
Okay. And before you go on, I always was told that everybody from Baltimore always had a New York nigga.
That's true, but most of the New York niggas, we didn't bring them here. They went through us, and we went and seen them.
Okay, yeah.
See,
it
got twisted when they started bringing motherfuckers
down here.
They eat at the table
hustle.
here. So, because they got out there, man, them dudes, we get them for $30. Them niggas getting $200 off of them.
Right, yeah.
And
taking the Baltimore money, they ain't supposed to be coming down here doing it.
How that happened was the guys that was jealous of us.
Okay. Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you had a couple Judases in our crew. That
Always.
yeah. You had a couple Judases, and then they start telling those guys what we was doing so far as how we like to get high. 'Cause
Yeah.
we were just on.
Uh-huh.
And then one thing led to another. But make a long story short, education was our most important thing.
Yeah.
If you didn't go to school, you couldn't hang with us.
Okay.
That was our constitution.
Yeah.
If you don't go to school, you can't hang with us.
I mean, I feel like that's a good law to have because that means you got some smarts. You don't want
Exactly.
no dumbass
See,
hanging
and then
around.
most of my little friends, man, like I said, I got a few regrets. And the only regret I'm living with that I didn't complete my higher education.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go back even at this age now. I got to go
Ain't
back.
never too late.
Yeah, see,
Ain't never
because
too
like I said, but really what I wanted to touch on, man, I wanted to touch on some of this. I want to get to the meat and potatoes of this situation.
Okay. Okay.
So we going in
Let's
right
get it.
now. You know,
Let's get it.
I want to talk about how all this stuff started with this criminal element so far as making a large, substantial amount of money and not doing the right thing with it. And then the things that we did do with it was right in some people's eyes and it was wrong in some
Other
people's
people.
eyes.
Yeah.
What I say was the right thing about it, because they say you can't lose what you ain't never had.
True.
Was the wrong thing about it, you start trusting all the wrong people,
Okay.
right? But all this comes from when you start taking yourself out from doing what you think is right. You know it's right, but you start making the wrong decision because this thing, addiction comes in.
Right.
See, we was addicted to nice clothes, nice cars, large substantial amounts of money at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
But you get bored just with that.
Yeah. They
You
get
know,
old after a while.
Right, you know, like now they smoke the grass, they throw it up in the loud and all that. Yeah, we did the grass, but we getting this other stuff from different parts of the world.
Right.
Pakistan, Europe, and we kids, we've been out the city, but, you know, I remember my brother first went international in 1979. He had went to Nigeria.
Mm.
And
This Bodie.
This Bodie. And this was unheard of for a dude
Yeah.
that was
Young black dude.
a young black dude.
From
You
the
see what I'm
hood.
saying? And see, because in 79, he, like I say, and I need to tell you this, man. In 76, he had an accident. Anyway, he got almost like a couple $100,000 from that suitcase.
The truck backing up on
Right.
his leg, right?
But not just that bread. He probably had, and I'm not exaggerating, he probably had 2 times that amount from the street.
Right. So he was loaded.
So he was loaded. And then I had 3 brothers was over in Europe from 75 to 80. They was over in Frankfurt. So I'm Bodie, always dealing with my brothers, and they dealing with shit on the international stage.
What was they doing over there?
They was in the service,
Okay.
but they was hustling.
Okay.
So we would get these, can I say it?
Yeah.
We would get these testers from
Europe.
Europe,
Okay.
and it would be not bullshit, it'd be 50 times stronger of
It
the
was
best
here.
shit that was here.
Okay.
So once we started getting that, a lot of people didn't know, but for like a year we getting that,
Mm-hmm.
and they was like,
Smashing.
"What was he smashing? It
Smashing
was
the
raining
market.
money," and they couldn't figure. They like, they ain't got this in New York.
Right.
And, you know, they did this movie called, what's the name of that shit? American Gangster and all
Oh,
that.
yeah, Frank
we
Lucas.
Frank Lucas. We kids in Baltimore, we getting it from Europe.
Okay.
But that was, you know, that's never been revealed in none of this hypothetical stuff they talk
Stories
about
and
Avon.
stuff, yeah.
Because, you know, I don't know. I know murder didn't have a statute of limitation, but may Bodie rest in peace, Avon.
Rest in peace.
So we can talk about these
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And a lot of people know that this took place because a lot of people lived it with us, the
Yeah.
ones that still living.
Right.
Anyway, for like a year, we was killing them with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in 1979 to 81,
Okay.
right?
So we coming into the 80s now.
Coming into the 80s. Now, I graduated from high school in 80.
Mm-hmm.
First time I went out the country was in 1980.
Okay.
I didn't want to go because I was strung out, and I didn't want to mess the lick up I had with my older brothers because they was dependent on a certain amount of money
To come
every
back.
month.
Okay.
Right? So I didn't want to leave the country doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because it was important to me and my family, my brothers, to make this stuff work.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, those couple years, I can say were the best years of my life.
Okay.
Because I'm 17 and 80. I'm 17. And beyond stretching my imagination at 17, as a matter of fact, your dad had just caught that 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
They was in, and they was hearing things that, yo, and I'm doing this and that. And I'm 17, and I got like about 6, and this is no bullshit. I never talk about it because I know.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother, he did, may he rest in peace. And you don't tell a person what you hold.
Yeah.
But in 1980, I'm holding like about 400,000 at 17.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know that you got this kind of paper until something happened.
Right.
What happened was the people that was holding the money got so scared.
Mm-hmm.
See, man, y'all got 3 duffel bags in my basement, right?
Yeah.
And y'all got to move this.
Right.
And I told the person, only reason he didn't rob me then or take, because the consequences that came with it, he thought it was my
brother's money.
But it was mine.
Okay. All right.
Right? He ain't had an idea that I was banking up like this.
Yeah.
Because he thought he was the only one.
So he had a fear, people had a fear of Bodie back then?
What? Man, he was on murder at a young age.
Okay.
I think the first one he caught was like, what year was you born in?
89.
He caught his first joint in 77. Shoo. See, we was kids, but I'm saying we was living, like all the big names in the city, Lord Malcolm, Shorty Bruce, Nutty Kings, and all them guys was like, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it, you want me to be honest. They were scared of us.
Okay.
When I say scared, not scared of us per se, but they was the next ones up.
Yeah, okay. They knew it was coming.
See, we brought the murder thing to the city. And see, after that, there was a lot of guys that was duplicating this kid, Anthony Jones, and these other kids, Okie, and all them other little dudes. But we ain't do it for fame, or we ain't do it for a reputation. We did it was about business.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like I told you about that last sum of money. Like, I really didn't know how much money it was. That's how I found out I was holding damn near $500,000. What happened was that people told me, come get the money. They said, come get these dirty clothes.
Because they were scared.
Because they were scared. So I'm like, man, it ain't that much. They
Yeah.
say, man, you need to.
Right. They counted it?
No. They just know we had 3
Right.
army. My brothers was in the service.
They had them
So
army
we had
bags.
3 big green duffel bags.
Okay.
I had 3 big green duffel bags of money in the house.
Yeah.
But it was in street bills, 50s, 100s. But they really didn't know it was that much. I didn't know it was that
Right.
much. All I know is I'm throwing a bag in there.
Just
at
hold
the time,
this.
the supermarkets in town was Stop Shop and Saves and Foodaramas.
Okay.
All I know, I'm going up there with a number and dumping the money in the bag. I wasn't counting.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But the dude that
And
was
this
holding
was
the
all
money,
off
the trust, it went without saying. If you fuck with this money,
you know it's
some-
coming.
Exactly.
You
So
know it's
he
coming.
and he was the kind of guy. All he wanted to do was he used to make. Matter of fact, he was a life. His name was Bogart. All the old guys know him. He dead now, but what he was a carpenter by trade. He learned this in the penitentiary. He got out in 75. But prior to 75, he had did 40 years.
Okay. 40.
40 years. His name was Mr. Bogart, and he just took a liking to Bodie and us. And the dude that we was, older guy we was messing with, when Bogart came home, he was lost in the sauce. So man, y'all got to grab Bogart, because he was all man. You know what I mean? He was like, y'all don't want none of that penitentiary life. So take your money and do this and do that, do that. So anyway, Mr. Bogart told me, man, you need to come get this money. Because he was scared.
Okay.
10,000 used to scam.
Yeah.
So he had 3 army backs. I told you my brothers was on the service. When we go get the money count machines wasn't there. So you had to get 2, 3 girls
To count it.
to count the money, but they would had to be naked.
So they can't hide
So they
none
can't
of it.
steal the
Yeah.
money. And I was getting tired of fucking with people that I couldn't. I could trust them, but I didn't want them to send that wild. Man,
Got the money and all that,
then,
yeah.
And that did go out too. It did go out in the street that we was holding like that. That's what brought on this Murder Inc. shit.
Okay.
Because niggas started stepping to it.
Uh-huh.
And
Trying-
it wasn't really an aggressive lean. It was like, am I talking too loud? Well, it wasn't an aggressive lean. It was like a tender lean.
Yeah.
But it was a tender lean in the respect like you send a message to a friend of mine that's supposed to be all right with us,
Mm-hmm.
and it'd be like, man, such and such say, if y'all don't do this gonna happen.
Okay.
You're not gonna be the one to be able to tell him because you're gonna be,
Gone.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he gonna get the message that
Yeah. He gonna know what's up once they gone.
once you come up missing, he gonna know
What's
that
up?
was
Don't
our
play
message.
with
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
the answer.
Yeah.
So that's how that evolved.
Okay.
And then it started evolving. I guess we was doing it so well that all those guys, the figureheads in the city,
Mm-hmm.
they like, man, we need them youngers to handle this. And then that thing turned to something else. A lot of guys don't know that about beat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of guys do too.
Mm-hmm.
It went from the hustling game
To the murder game.
to the murder game, and we was kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in public record. The News American, the Sun,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how that went, man.
Okay.
You know, and like I said, but all the time while that's happening, my brother was steady encouraging me to go back to school.
Right. Did he finish?
Yeah.
He finished. Okay.
Man, you ain't gonna believe, let me tell you some things about him, about his education. You check the city school records. Bodie was the president of student council. We went to school. Now they call it Harbor Park East.
Okay.
But it was Locust Point,
Uh-huh.
where the Domino.
Downtown, like Key Highway and all
Yeah,
that.
we went to. That's we went. I went to Booker T. From Booker T, they started busting the students. They sent us to Francis Scott Key.
Okay.
That's on 4th Avenue, down there in the heart of Crackerland.
Yeah.
Once they found out Bodie was so intelligent,
Mm-hmm.
he was the president of the student council, and this was something unheard of.
Okay.
In '76, it was the bicentennial year.
Okay.
When
What's that? What's bicentennial?
that's when America turned 200.
Okay.
That was America's 200th birthday. You know, a lot of guys don't know that.
Okay. I ain't know that.
Centennial mean 100.
Mm-hmm.
America's first birthday was in 1876.
Okay.
Okay, let me give you the history of okay, America declared its independence in 1776.
Right.
Right? That's when we got our independence from England.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the first 100 years that America celebrated, they labeled that as the centennial year.
Okay.
Okay, 100 years later, which was they
19.
declared their independence in 1776, and 1876 was the first 100 years, and 1876 was the 1776, 1876, 1976 was their bicentennial.
Okay.
That means America is celebrating its 200th birthday
Okay. 200 years
as being
independent.
independent from England.
Right.
So those crackers in South Baltimore and all around the country made that a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like 4th of July, the bicentennial year, everything was red, white, and blue.
Mm-hmm.
It was the games, the Olympic Games,
Mm-hmm.
and all that shit. So Bodie went down there, and he blew those people away with his intelligence level.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Where you go at?
to 76. That was the name of the school,
Okay.
too, 76.
Okay.
It was called Francis Scott Key. He was the student council president. They never had a nigga even ever ran for
that's
student
what's
council president.
That's what's up.
But he couldn't be denied because
He was so smart.
he was so smart.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was he spoke at the commencement, in our 9th grade commencement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what he talked about at that commencement, they was asking him what did he want to be as an adult, woo, woo, woo. Did he want to get involved with politics? And what he said blew him away.
What'd he say?
He said something to the effect that a black man would never get a fair shake in politics. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna be self-employed. I come from a lower, and he did these things too. So I come from a low-income housing project. Someday, before I'm 19, I'd like to buy my mother her own project.
Okay.
But it was an apartment building,
Yeah.
but that was his dream. He
Right.
did that.
Yeah.
But we got sidetracked there too because we didn't want the people to mix what we was doing up with what my mother was trying to do. So that made us step away from that project.
Mm-hmm.
So when he turned like 19, what he did, he bought a few dump trucks and backhoes, and we tried to do the subcontracting with the construction. And
Yeah.
that was working out real good.
Uh-huh.
So we found out some other elements that was involved wasn't business-minded, and we didn't really, I believe, man, him could have pulled it off, but we'd have concentrated all our ingenuities towards business.
The business, yeah.
But
and just
the thing we
the street part.
concentrated on was the
Street part.
the street hustling.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all our
Yeah.
time and efforts went. But I believe if we would have exerted that same energy,
It
on
would have
the
been
side,
y'all would have took
we'd
it
been
to another level.
millionaires.
So how you feel saying that? How you feel that you feel like that's
That
the
was my
majority?
calling. That
That's
was
the
my calling.
But is that the majority of our, like, as niggas? Is that the majority of our downfalls?
Yes,
You get
it
the
is.
opportunity
Yes,
to
it
go
is. You
corporate.
you don't seize the opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
We fall in love with the street part, the
All the wrong
girls, the
stuff.
all everything that momentarily stuff.
And you know, it was a woman that told me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give y'all this game. This is something that drugs could never bring y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give y'all a game where y'all can be multimillionaires.
Mm-hmm.
All y'all got to do, she told me this, and she told both, exert the same energy
Into the business.
into this business because we had the trucks, we had the heavy equipment. And then I used to go as far on Saturdays as a young boy and go out on these big lots because it was my brother. He financed the money for these backhoes. Anybody could tell you, these front end loaders and shit. But he like, I mean, would you want to work somewhere where you doing bull work and then you got to do, walking up to you, putting 15,000 in your hand, all you got to do is say, thank you, come again?
Right.
Opposed to going out there. But that was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't take advantage of that particular aspect of our life. Now, and I'm still at the point, I'm like 80, I'm 17, 18 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I got damn near $500,000. I'm coming out of Douglas High School.
Mm-hmm.
I don't count my purse until I had to move it.
Yeah.
I had a guy, Mr. Bogart, begging me, man, you
To
need
move
to
the
come
stuff.
get these back, because he's scared.
Right.
He just did 40 years. He only been
Yeah.
home 2-3 years.
He don't want to get caught up in none of that.
He's actually going crazy with all this money. I mean, because he don't know nobody but us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though he had them there,
Uh-huh.
but he just did 40 years.
He ain't trying to go back. Yeah. For nobody else stuff
So
anyway.
by the time niggas really, well, I'm gonna say by the time guys really got a whip and we was plugged like that,
Right.
our street cred just took off like wildfire, and that's when all that other stuff started happening.
Okay.
You know, the murder game, and because we went from hustling to being death merchants.
Hmm.
And that never set well with me because I'm a real loving, giving person.
Mm-hmm.
But when you in a jungle, you in a jungle, you got all the gorillas, you got the wolves, you got the hyenas.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically got to fight fall with fall.
Yeah.
And in the process of that money that I'm stacking up,
Mm-hmm.
I might got 3 people done caught a case. I done paid his lawyer, his lawyer, his lawyer. My brother done caught a case. He done paid his lawyer. And at the time, Howard Carter, and I'm going to say these lawyers' names because I need y'all to know y'all raped us as kids. You know, yeah. We put them in a position where.
Who is it?
Hal Cardine, James Gittimer, Richard Karseski of Towson. Now he's hounding cases like the Filbert's Margarine Harris. The Harris of Filbert's Margarine. She's a drug addict, but she got caught with like about 20 keys. And she got
from Baltimore?
From Baltimore.
Right.
She's from the Eastern Shore, from Maryland.
Okay.
But let me tell you, this broad get caught with 20 keys and get 6 months probation, 30 days house arrest.
Wow.
So that's what made me realize it was two justice systems for black and white. And they done ran down on me with just money one time. I was about 18. Man, my friend of mine, his name is Andre Hart. He's in Philadelphia now. We coming down Ricetown Road. He had bumped this guy. He was driving a Volkswagen. All this is relevant to what I'm saying about these lawyers that we got rich.
Right.
And a month before that, they knocked the girl, Philbus Harris, off with 20 keys, right? And a pistol. This bitch gets 6 months probation and some other petty shit.
Right.
My man bumped the dude just driving a Volkswagen car on Ricetown Road. However, he owned about 6 car lots up there. But we thought he was a bum. Right? He driving a beat-up Volkswagen. And when he jumped out the car, my man jumped straight out with the heater. Man, you done backed up. Every car dealership up there, we didn't know this.
Yeah.
He know everybody. They coming out
They
there,
come out.
Mr. Such and such. Right.
Hey, y'all was caught up.
Was we caught? And we got like about 70,000 in the car. This is 80. You know, as soon as the police stop us and we need to see registration and license,
Yeah.
we got the money in the back. So we weren't even think about putting it in the trunk because we just picked it up. It's on the back seat of the floor of the car. They peeped in there and seen that. They went crazy, man. And that's what exposed us to other things to transpire. And it was in the car. And we young. We feel like we invincible. Using it. We thought he threw it away.
Then he did. Got that too.
Did they? Man, I come home 2 years later for that stuff, man. You know,
So you had to sit for 2 years.
For 2 years. But in the process of sitting, that's when everything all the house of cards started falling in. They did some it's called superseding indictments. Oh man, a couple of my friends got killed that summer, right? Before that occurred, a couple of my friends got killed that summer, and some things took place. You know, some events occurred. However, my man, he supposed to got rid of him. He never did that because he was infatuated because the nines just came out. You know, they was doing revolvers, and we getting these joints. I told you my brother was in the service over in Europe.
Yeah.
And they, UPS, they sending coming from over there.
You're right.
We getting them straight from over. We getting,
Europe.
Man, yeah. And you couldn't get ejectiles for them. You had to go to and order them, not online, but you would have to order them through, different gun magazines.
Okay.
Because automatic weapons at the time wasn't real prevalent. You know, it's 357.
Yeah.
We had to get these, they was 8.5s, 9 millimeters from over there.
Okay. Europe.
From Europe. We was sending over to, my brother was in, I'm trying to think of the spot. He was in Frankfurt.
Okay.
And then that summer, my mother went over on a European tour. And see, this is the type of stuff we was on. We get our passports. Like, I'm going to Paris. See, we was doing shit like that.
That's gangster shit.
And the first time I went out of the country, I told you about. Second time I went out of the country, I got sick, went over to Europe. Bodie didn't go, it was just me and my mother. So as soon as we get to Paris, no, we didn't wind up in Paris. We went to England first to Heathrow Airport, and I got sick. I never made it to Paris. I said, I'm flying back.
Right.
I
So
was
you went back
jet-lagged
home.
and all, and I came back. She stayed over there 6 months. But this shit I did as a teenager, and talking to you about these things, man. And like I say, more stuff coming back
Yeah,
and back.
yeah.
And I'm pleased to have this for the first session. But as the more and more I start talking about my youth, but I want to put it in a sequence, man. I'm just getting things off that's
Yeah,
coming back
yeah,
to my
yeah,
mind.
yeah. I got you.
But if you want to, I mean, you can and you don't have to, but if you want to,
5 minutes. Oh,
you'll get better with that. That situation.
because we can cut all that out, right?
Yeah, he
But what
added
you
that.
were saying though? Oh, all right, okay.
Yeah,
all right,
but
all
I'm saying the more things,
right. All right.
the more things that we talk about, I'm just trying to get a basic, broad view of the things that occurred in my life as a young man.
Gotcha.
And they just the things that I remember off the top of my head.
Mhm.
But when I go home, I'm getting a deep thought.
Yeah,
And I think what I'll do is what you did.
right,
I'm going to start writing down the things because a lot of stuff has eluded me
right.
because of the events that took place, like me losing all my siblings,
Mm-hmm.
me losing all my bread,
Mm-hmm.
and me just getting humble. See, I'm like this, man, and I want you to attest to this too,
Right.
Kevin.
Mm.
What I might say to you, a person of my stature
Mm-hmm.
would be dealing with false pride and wouldn't have the pride to ask you the things I might ask you.
Yeah,
Like, boy,
true.
and it's some
That's
real
a fact.
See, but that's all. It's called getting humble.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And see,
100%.
you know what I mean? And see, there's a lot of people that I deal with that's my closest. They haven't came to that point yet
Mm-hmm.
where they think that, see, I consider us as family.
Yeah,
And if
100%.
you can't go to your family and be authentic or be just genuine about your situation, then you ain't got nothing.
Yeah, that ain't family then.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
see what I'm saying?
yeah.
But if it's something that I like this situation right here, man, I see this so promising,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm glad that y'all embrace me to be a part of it, even though I'm just gonna be on one episode.
No.
But you know what I mean. But it's still a good thing
Yeah.
because I'm saying when we do the professional version of this,
Yeah.
it's gonna be so intriguing and interesting that if you don't tune in to Chris and K's podcast, you ain't tuning in the podcast.
Right.
I'm dead serious, man.
100%.
Because I'm telling you, I'm a good judge of character, man, and I'm telling you, man, I'm just honored to know that I'm gonna be on y'all debut
Episode.
and when we put it down. Yeah. Baltimore, Washington, and Virginia, y'all gonna want to get to this podcast station, and y'all gonna want to and YouTube this.
100%.
You feel me?
100%.
Yeah, man. But like I said, I'm honored. It's a pleasure, man. And like we rolling down, time getting short, but man, I just wanted to know, man. As long as we stay on track to start talking about things that's relevant. Today as well as back then, because all our community, we stay in a legitimate relevant mode, because if you don't know your past, you will not be able to go through your future.
Right.
So it's a good thing you trying to get some history, and you trying to get his story from, the story of what. Yeah,
From
'cause
who the
it's your
best to get
story.
it from.
Yeah,
Who
you know
best
what I
to get
mean?
it from.
And like I say, man, it's an honor, it's a pleasure, man. And I'm going to give it to you, man. I'm going to give it to you, man.
I definitely appreciate you.
Yeah, man, I
Appreciate
appreciate y'all, brother.
So we going to close this out. And we're going to close out the first episode because I think we need to continue this on another episode. Part
Okay.
2 be continue from here on out. So, closing out with Ronald Barksdale. Just need you to get that shout out. We Need Answers podcast.
My man. And you got every part of Ronald Barksdale. Just call me. I'm on deck, man.
Just hit him with the We Need Answers podcast. Just
Oh,
say that.
We Need Answers podcast. Tune in. Tune in, be more. Tune in, and We Need Answers.
All right.